Hello, we're back. We're back for once again a rematch of yesterday's exciting match of Jay versus Eric. The winner will go on to the final. Uh, do you think that Jay is going to get another victory against Eric today, or do you think things will change today in this match?
I think it's going to be the revenge match for Eric. I think TangJie will be depressed after losing to Paige and feel very bad, and then do something silly, and then Eric's going to win. That's my that's my prediction, but we'll have to see. Definitely TangJie and Eric both with good chances to win.
Yeah. I guess I will say in the last tournament, Pokemon Go tournament, Jay went on an absolute tear the last day and won all his games. I think he was in the losers bracket to start that day. So you're right. It's interesting. He just came off a loss. So I don't know. It's interesting to know what the player's psychology is, how players handle losses. So I think some players it doesn't bother them too much, but I think it weighs on people differently. So it'll be interesting to see. I think what Jay really will have to muster inside himself for this game, coming out off a loss, is his self-control. Speaking of their virtues, I think we've been saying that Jay like self-control maybe doesn't match his play his go style, but I think it's going to be extra important that he delivers self-control this game. And then for Eric, we've got honesty. I guess we must have talked about this yesterday, but what do you think? How are you feeling today? Self-control versus honesty.
Well, I think Eric has actually done a good job of playing Honest Go today. And yesterday, I think that was the main reason why he lost to TangJie was that he did some dishonest attacking, and he got called out for it and lost control of the game. So we're gonna have to see. Yeah, as Paige says in the chat, honesty is the most dishonest. Self-control is no self-control. Courage is the scaredy cat. Uh, I think all of these ideals, these virtues, are things that the players will have to live up to. So I guess whoever wins, it'll be whether Jay has more self-control or whether Eric is more honest.
Well, it looks like we have liftoff here, and we've got a 4-4 immediately followed by a 3-3 by Jay. So a little bit
Yes.
more silliness to start. We've had many quite silly early games, so here we go again. I guess nothing. I guess 3-3ing immediately isn't maybe that crazy, but uh, not the most normal thing, right?
It's not that normal, but it has happened in like very high level games. People just don't like to play the 3-3 right away. And yeah, we should switch to the board on the screen, but um, people just don't like to play the 3-3 right away because it means that black can commit to whatever structure they want after that has already happened. And in a sense, you can say that black gets three corners. Like if they go to another open corner, then the remaining two corners are Miai. So like black got the first move in three of them, and white only got the first move in one of them. But he did get a 3-3. Um, I don't know. There's a whole bunch of like very minor strategic subtleties that could make you say that one is slightly better than another, but it would never actually be decisive at this level or at human level, in my opinion.
Yeah, it looks like we have a very different start to this game compared to their game yesterday, where yesterday some more normal approaches. I don't even know if there was a 3-3, and then we had some pincering going on, and from the pincers, a natural fight sort of broke out. So, oh, well,
Oh
here we
my.
go. Never mind. Never mind. I take everything I said back. We're already to the action.
They are playing the flying knife. Let's see what variation TangJie likes to play. Um, Eric is. He must be studied up on this. He must know what he's doing. I didn't actually know that he knew the flying knife, but doesn't White need the ladder for this? You don't need the ladder if you don't go for the full fight. Like Black just forced this to happen, kind of. So you can fall back now, and you don't need the ladder. But if you continue going completely, then eventually there is a ladder which Black can use.
Man, I feel like Jay paused before he cut here. I feel like if you're gonna go into this, I feel like you should know it well. I don't know, but
Well, all that Jay did to make this happen was the initial attach at F2. And I think that he likes to do this because he likes it when people play this variation, and he likes to play this fighting. Um, I don't like this fighting. I don't know why he likes this fighting, but he seems to like that. And so what this one also invites though is the flying knife. And after that happens, if you play here, which I've seen Jay do sometimes, it's not very good. So he instead wants to play here, and this is just like inviting the flying knife to happen from both sides. Um, this is the way for TangJie to be like, okay, I don't have ladder, so let me just chill. Black can play the ladder like this, but um, this is still fine. Even though black captures that one stone in a ladder, it's like slightly better for black, this variation, if I remember correctly. But it's not a big deal. White can still save his group in the corner, and with this cut, he has like quite a lot of territory. Black's influence is nice, but the game goes on. Honestly, I think the 3-5 is maybe even worse. We didn't mention it, but the 3-5 in the lower right corner doesn't take the corner. So if black takes the corner, it's not really doing much in a modern game.
Yeah. It does. I didn't even notice it now that you mention it. It almost looks like a slight misclick. Uh, I like it. We have a chatter saying, "Does Eric always play complicated Joseki?" And then I love the response of another chatter saying, "Eric likes reading festivals."
Yes.
So yeah, I think Eric just does like complicated positions in general. So
Yeah, once you get good at complicated positions, you can feel a lot more comfortable with large avalanches, flying knives, that sort of thing, and understanding them because you've actually started to feel comfortable in the like middle game positions that follow. Most people aren't actually, in my opinion, afraid of the complicated Joseki itself, but the complicated positions that happen when something strange happens and you have to continue on like a difficult fight. Um, Once you get more confident in that kind of position, then you, in general, I think are ready to start playing large avalanches, flying knives, that sort of stuff. If you want, you still don't have to, but you can.
yeah, I think some people just fall in love with the complicated reading because it's just more interesting, right? Than sometimes just playing a big move. It's like almost a different part of the brain, right? You can think of the game territorially based, where it's just like finding big moves, or where the game's really interesting, right, is when it's most complicated. So I think certain people just their personality maybe even just like craves the complications.
Mhm.
And will make it complicated, like feel uncomfortable if the game's not complicated, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah. So here we see TangJie doing one of the fights that he likes, where he cuts right away and plays like this. We wouldn't see this in a pro game, by most players because this cut doesn't have very much support by Wei. Like the only thing that you can say is support is the 3-5. That's pretty far away. Normally, we only see this kind of cutting thing when Wei has already played some stone over here and then wants to leverage it in some kind of attack. So TangJie, by doing this, he doesn't really have the support. What he's talking about instead is the ladder over here, and he's saying, hey, with that ladder, if you answer that right away, then I'm gonna get the first move over there or over there. So it's an interesting thought, but I think black should be able to just fix the ladder in some way, and then White's fight here should be a little bit difficult, although I don't know exactly how much.
man, I feel like you're a prophet. I feel like you showed almost this exact same variation in the bottom left-hand corner in showing like a way that Jay likes to play, and now we have it like literally on the board on the other corner. So I love that.
I mean, yeah, they like to play like this. They play these just like he a lot. Yeah. It's just like I think honestly, it's not that different from most Q players are just playing the same response when they get approached from a 4-4. It's just they choose the simple one and then they like to know it. But the higher level players, they still only like a small range of responses. They just like the more complicated ones usually.
That makes sense. Maybe maybe I should try to add some more complex Joseki to my arsenal.
It's
Uh,
always fun at least, even if it doesn't
yeah.
work.
So okay, so Eric here, like, is F6 a move Eric would be considering here, just capturing? Is that like a plausible move?
Absolutely. Yeah, you can consider to just capture. The problem with just capturing uh, directly is that it feels a little bit over concentrated. Like all of these black stones are supposed to be influenced, but white can still cut over here, and it's not that much. So if I were fixing this, I'm gonna think to go a little bit further out and try to keep more pressure. So I might think about something like this, but honestly, I also want to just think about doing something in this area to help with the fight directly. So like this kind of move is something definitely that should be on Eric Yoder's mind. He loves playing with respect to ladders towards another area and then making everybody confused and hoping his opponent makes some mistake. Because usually he understands the kind of trading that can happen pretty well.
Oh yeah, even someone in chat, well, Semiyun, who's in the tournament, said Eric is known for ladders.
Yes.
So yeah, we'll see if he. It would be kind of exciting. I like or N14. But okay, we get S17. So it looks like he's trying to settle those 3 stones in an easy way.
Yeah, this move should be Sente. White could try to run out at F6 right now. I think the ladder works. I'm pretty sure it's a direct threat. I didn't actually check.
Right, and then
Yeah,
I
the ladder
guess
should work.
the idea of pulling out the F5 stone is that Black probably wants to extend and make a base from either one of the groups, but then on either side of that pulled out stone, but then you can attack maybe the other group.
Well, if we manage to pull this stone out and black doesn't really do anything, then black would be ending up under pressure on both sides. So the reason why Eric Yoder played S17 is he was thinking that he could trade, I think, at this moment. And that the corner, if White would like die there, is gonna be bigger than any attack that White can pull in the bottom left. Which is kind of interesting trading valuation. In the game after this happened, Eric has just played the simple jump here. This ladder, I really want to make sure I'm reading it properly because he's not paying attention to the ladder right now. Let's see, it's like that, and then whatever. Let's just play it out for the audience.
I feel like I'm watching Colossus now. From their game yesterday. Okay, it
So
looks
here
like
it goes like this, and this move is indeed breaking the ladder, the move that he played at Q13. So the ladder is working, but this Q13 move does break the ladder. However, that's quite a ambitious ladder breaker. TangJie can try to play like any move around here and break the ladder and break into that side. So if Eric has to just fall back here and TangJie can break through in this area, it could definitely be good for Jay. So you will be thinking right now.
so. Also, I feel like in contrary, like if you pull out the F5 stone, at some moment couldn't the 2 stones that are cutting stones right now become weak as well? Uh,
Which stones?
for at 016 and 15.
Ah, these. These are in an interesting place where they can like launch attacks, but if they get captured, it's no big deal.
Okay.
A lot of the time. So even if you play a move running out and black answers on this side, and you manage to play another move running out and black captures, the power that white gets attacking the bottom left areas, it should be much bigger than just capturing 2 stones for black. That's not that much points. So TangJie played this move, trying to make the double threat of the ladder and an attack on the side, and Eric's this move technically keeps the ladder going for now, although it's risky.
Yeah.
Jay pulls back. This breaks the ladder again.
There's like
And
2 stories happening simultaneously here.
Yeah. It's quite an interesting opening. Eric definitely wants to play this move. Does it still break the ladder? I need to read it again. Yes, this move breaks the ladder again. So, I expect Eric to play A because he likes doing that kind of thing.
They're having a very long discussion about this ladder here.
Yes.
And it's like a secret discussion, like a 10Q player or 15Q player like might not realize what's happening here, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting.
Wow, Eric played here. Does this one break the? I think it doesn't, right? TangJie can run. I don't believe this one breaks the ladder. I believe instead Eric is just saying eventually he needed to spend a move to protect his cuts over there. So he's spending it now, and he's going to let TangJie run that stone out. And he's basically trying to say that these exchanges that white played are solidifying black and making black shape in the upper right good, although white can run out the ladder. Usually in the local area in the bottom left, running out this ladder um, is you can still fight against it. It's not completely dominating. It's just like pretty good, pretty nice if you can handle this fight. So Eric has chosen to trade to allow White to try right now, and he's just going to continue fighting in this area for now.
Yeah, this is kind of interesting. As white here, I would be a little like I not even know how to prove the worth of those two stones. I guess probably just G5 at this moment, maybe. Uh,
Um,
or maybe
you
you can
mean
cut at
this?
G3. Yeah.
Yeah. So in this kind of situation, if you run out stones and you say I'm going to attack on both sides, what you should be able to do is prove it naturally by just throwing the group in the center somehow. So if you just run here and run here, you're threatening again, and then naturally all of the um, black shapes will have to take care of themselves, and you're going to be able to take some benefit in the center. So usually something like this is your way to benefit. Of course, black wouldn't become that weak with any of these, but it's annoying to black just to have to live and to have to accept the weaknesses and to still be able to be pincered and be pincered and have white have a nice thick group in the center usually. So in the game, TangJie turned.
Hmm.
Mm. I definitely expect black to play h5. A lot of the time, some Q players will miss this vital point to play some other big move. Whenever there is two stones, Haned at the head of two stones twice, and then another stone there, and you can Atari it, that's the shape point playing here. Because it threatens to capture those initial two stones with A. Not just this capture, but this capture is the proper move. And even if black tries to capture here, you can still do that. It would be Short Liberty like that, right? So this kind of thing is often very dangerous for black. In fact, other
Ah,
ways to
okay.
play, but I would expect this variation to be good for white, although I have to be careful to be to read it. So because of that, black should extend here basically all the time and prevent that vital point from being taken. And TangJie chose to push one more time, which I think is good. One thing I didn't mention with this is that black could try to strike as well against the white shape there, say that it's not very strong, maybe a turn, or maybe even just answer in later turn, something like that. So TangJie wants more power on the in the center, and Eric has chosen that moment to capture on the bottom side. Um,
Yeah. And something I'm noticing now, we were talking about the R5 stone, kind of interestingly placed earlier. At some moments, it seems like I guess maybe it's too far, but an approach to that stone, if the black group keeps getting pushed to the right, would be like an extension black would really want now because uh, it's a nice long extension from potentially the group on the bottom side, but the corner is wide open as well. So I don't know at what moments that maybe
I don't
it's
think it
we're
would.
too far out from that moment, but
Yeah, I don't think it would ever really matter whether this stone is at the 3-5 or the 4-4 or the 3 or any of these points. I think they're all basically the same with respect to the lower left fighting. Because any way that it happens there, black still has some kind of approach if they need it, or an invasion if they need it, or anything like that. Um, so it wouldn't really have a big effect on the lower left. What position that one is in? Um, Compared to like whether that group will live, whether that group will live, how the cuts are used in general. Um, TangJie chose to cut here, by the way, which is interesting. Um, it's definitely
hmm.
saving his group in the corner, but you could argue it's a bit passive, and Eric is arguing that when he plays this Hane. He's saying I can keep control of the game now by chasing your stones in the center, And TangJie cut, but Eric could answer with the just clean capture like this. And it's difficult for TangJie to use that J5 stun. So he just runs instead, has to run his group, and Eric can kind of swallow it like this. Jay makes an exchange, and he's thinking now. Maybe White can attack on the left side. He does. He plays
Oh,
the
wow, wow.
Knight's move there. I'm thinking, honestly, it was probably better to play jump on this side. The way you usually use this kind of cut is to just challenge your opponent to save it again, and they can't easily because there's another weak group on that side. So most of the time, if you just ask White to play in this area by themselves, they will naturally give you this move as they play some move on the outside. So usually it's not very urgent to play there directly yourself. Jay this way
Interesting.
is securing himself some kind of a pressure on the outside.
So with this move, this knight's move, first thing that goes to my mind is it could be cuts, but black's probably too weak, so probably needs to make some sort of move. I'm thinking d8, d9. I don't know exactly how black deals with this. I feel like black has two approaches, right? They just strengthen their group somehow, but they also trying to look at the weakness of the white stones, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I like this attach from Eric. At least it looks very intuitive to me. But yeah, I think it should be pretty clear with this attach that the Hane inside is overplay. Even like after that, you kind of have to play here, and it should just be laddered like this. But the Hane outside is the most natural move that you would expect. I would like when I play this attach, I would like to be able to strike on the outside immediately after, something like this. But I just can't quite see how I'm going to short the liberties of White on the outside and make this combine into any kind of powerful threat. So maybe after this Hane, he plans like a crosscut. That could be possible. I think it's a little bit, again, overplay fighting, but it's pretty close to being reasonable. It might be what happens in the game.
Well, with Eric or Jay, I think any fighting is reasonable to them.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we uh wow, this is such a interesting position. This is not a position I get to every day, especially as a Q player, just because I always feel awkward and don't quite know what to do with stones, just sort of floating in the middle of the board, uh, just because they feel a little awkward to me. But I see. Well, I mean, he's doing exactly what we kind of proposed, which is Eric very solidly defended on the right side, so now he kind of gets this attack on the left side. So
Yeah, it's hard to figure out how to play here because um, this black cut, it it seems like it's solidifying way. One thing that I thought I could do was push here, but I've realized now that there's a move at 6 for White to fix all the outside cutting weaknesses, and this would mean that White is like out. Um, this variation looks very bad for Black to me. Um, so if it can't really go like that, then after this 2 move, can you not block? Because there's like nothing else I directly see that that Black can do here. So maybe that cut is not actually possible. And indeed, it seems like Eric has chosen a more defensive move, just directly falling back here.
well, yeah.
Anytime,
Oh,
uh,
sorry.
sorry, yeah, anytime after this, Black is aiming. So especially after Black spends some defensive move here, Black is aiming to save his 2 stones, and that would put a lot of pressure on the corner. This corner cannot live locally if it just has to live in the eye space in the corner. So TangJie has to play on the outside and also defend his stones here, and I think with that, Eric may be able to get enough power and time to run out.
Yeah, I was just gonna say in the one variation, it looks like Black black just might straight up be dead, right? Uh, or close.
Yeah, if you mess up, then this black can definitely die.
But yeah,
I think it should be savable.
yeah, with a C9, with your variation where black cut, I believe. But wait, with C9, it looks like, yeah. I like your move, C7 here.
C7, yeah. You can also try to block with the empty triangle at D8. Um, that one would. So when you play at C7, you should be expecting um, you should be expecting white to capture, and then white will have a push through like this, so to still capture your inside later. So if you block here and you still expect some kind of capture, something like this, then um, well, I don't know. This way, I was just thinking that it puts more pressure on the outside, but maybe these stones will still be captured. I don't know whether it's better to block at C7 or D8. Both of them technically do the job as needed right now. Yeah, I guess probably Eric is thinking between them two as as well.
Hmm. So I guess at this moment in time, do you think uh it's looking better for whites or black, sort of in this, I guess, more local fights? Is Jay getting what he sort of wanted from pulling out that stone from that was potentially laddered earlier?
Um, I think globally I prefer white right now, just a little bit, but the game is long. This will the game would never be decided right now. This is tough. Paige is saying in chat that uh, she would rather face Eric in the grand finals. Jay is hard to control, which is definitely true. TangJie will strike you with some crazy stuff.
Yeah, it seems like Jay, I don't know. He's he always finds a way. It just feels like he always finds a way to make things happen. So I've been noticing that as well. He's a little wild, right? He can play some moves you don't expect. Also,
Yeah.
Eric's the slower player, so I sometimes I like I feel pressured when I play a faster player. It just feels more pressured. So I also like sometimes playing players. I'm a slower player myself, so when I play another slower player, I almost feel more at ease. So
Mm.
uh, I like that aspect. So maybe Eric being a little slower player is nice.
Yeah, maybe he uses his time aggressively though, which is it feels less nice when you realize what he's thinking about is murder the entire time. He's thinking. Eric eventually chose to block with the empty triangle rather than C7. I think either way, white will capture those two stones, and then this way, uh, probably black is still going to just run at C10. I don't think it's okay to save those three stones. Maybe it is though. When white captures these two, if black runs, then this cut does work, and so it would make the center completely alive. I just feel like white gains more by keeping a total pressure on. So I wouldn't like try to save them and get surrounded here too soon. Maybe I would do it like after playing a bunch of pushes. Maybe some variation like this is possible for black. I don't know. This is a tough position to judge completely.
Hmm. So does this move uh is Jay like now forced to at some moment capture the two stones or a stone for the corner? Or I
Um,
guess yeah, we were looking at the difference between C7 and then this just
right. So
blocking
if
directly.
white plays on the outside right now, I think it's an overplay. um, Black can Atari on the inside like this and then run here. And then these two white stones should die. So black should be safe, and then also the white in the corner cannot live. So that's this looks very, very dangerous for um for white. That's why I'm saying that white needs to play here. Eric Lee in the chat, I doxed him, sorry. He's saying that the white corner is not completely alive if black plays in this area, meaning even after, so let's say black becomes strong and then plays here. Um, if that is actually saved. So there's a thing where I could do it. But if somehow um, it goes like this and everything is actually saved, then there's a move here where white would not be able to make his second eye in this area. So that's true. Even after you capture the 2 stones, it's not completely alive yet, but it should be close enough to be strong. So in the game, we have TangJie capturing once, I think it's correct, and then Eric continued directly with the cut. So he's hoping to see TangJie answer somehow, and then to capture with the ladder to get a bigger position here than to just save underneath, which I can understand. Seems good actually.
Whoa, that's kind of great. So B6 is potentially just Sente then, right? If
No.
B
It's not Sente because white has C7. But it's close. It's close. If black plays C7, then B6 is Sente.
Okay, I see. So yeah, and black would not ever do that at this moment. So
Not yet. He will do it soon, probably. Sometime soon. Maybe. I don't know. In the game, we have Jay playing an Atari outside, which I think is preparing to cut at D7. Um, and um, if you would have cut first, then black would still be able to play this exchange and then be able to capture the ladder, and black's shape looks pretty nice. So instead, by playing this Atari first and then playing here, still black should have to answer somehow, but the shape is a little smaller this way. So I think this is what Jay is talking about when he plays this Atari. On the other hand, he could be talking about just like saving his outside and doing some crazy fighting on the left. And since he's thinking right now, I'm pretty sure that that's what he's thinking about. Mm,
hmm.
I can't really imagine doing it myself though. I don't see a move that would make me feel comfortable, but maybe Jay will bust out some crazy move like this. And yeah, there it is.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Getting a little spicy.
Yeah, this is definitely very spicy. My goodness. Um, so I think Eric should start. Uh, it's not exactly possible to capture all of these stones. You can try to play this one. If white plays here, then you can play this one, and then you can capture this 1 stone. But this is actually a failure result for black most of the time, because white manages to make a nice panuki and like a lot of potential to break the left side later. So usually we don't want to capture that 1 stone, and it's not quite possible to seal in the whole thing and capture it most of the time, at least until you become strong. So I would expect to play here first and to focus on defending this black, especially considering that this b6 is Sente. I think that's the most important thing here. So if white runs out here, you can try to play this one, and if white answers somehow, which is a little bit hopeful, but if white answers somehow, then it shouldn't be very hard uh, to live this black group by itself and then chase both of these white groups separately. And I think that's the best way for black to try to take control of this game after white does a overplay like this. Yeah, I'm not even sure how to live this group, as Eric Lee points out, because I don't want to like spend too much effort on it and make white too strong outside. It's actually quite close to being alive directly. Um, I don't think it would be that wrong to play here though. I think it would be okay. Uh, but it's entirely possible that we don't have to spend a single move.
Well,
Anyway,
yeah. Once again,
mm,
best move. Just covering the cuts. Probably where you should have. So I think he'll
yeah,
find
yeah, yeah.
your
When
move.
uh, overplaying, then he usually fights quite conservatively. He like tries to show with reason why his opponent is crazy if he thinks his opponent is crazy. So usually he'll protect his cuts and sort of wait and wait for his moment to strike. Um, but if the opponent uh, waits too long and Eric doesn't see a clear chance to strike, sometimes he gets a little antsy and strikes too early, that sort of thing. But this is definitely not that sort of situation. Like Eric knows that this fighting is very crazy. He's just going to try to control it as best as he can right now. He's going to focus on that.
So I guess we've got C7, which covers the cut, and then C12, which you were proposing isn't very good because it gives the Panuki on the outside. Are there any other alternative moves we could
Yes, yes.
consider here?
Black could try to play this one directly, which would be aiming at a very strong attack on those outside two stones. But I think if white would just directly cut, then even though black managed to pincer there, it's not like it's very easy to make the next killing move on those two stones. And anything you do, there's still going to be quite a lot of aji for white to try to save them. So this kind of thing, it would be white making an A for B exchange. I think white would be very satisfied with that kind of exchange. And that's why I want to fix the cut right away. I can't find any way to make an exchange, which I'm satisfied with as black. But Eric Yoder plays here.
Wow. Okay, that move was not on my radar exactly,
Yeah.
but I see. I guess there's a threat just to connect to the three stones underneath.
I saw
But it
TangJie
also
just stood up and walked around for a moment after this one. He's like, "What the hell? What the hell is this?" Yeah, this is just nuts. I have no idea what he's doing.
misclick.
No, it's a Tesuji, but what does it mean? Like, why are we trying this Tesuji is usually for like saving underneath those stones. Why are we doing that? Like, why would we try to save underneath those stones right now? I don't quite get it. In general, I was saying before that like TangJie was happy to get an A for B exchange. Then of course he's happy to get an A for this B exchange. Like that, what is that stone gonna do in just like any old position, right?
Well, I
Um,
guess maybe the difference between the B on the board and the other B is just the only difference is it threatens the connects underneath, right?
yeah, so that's not what you want to do when you want to punish. So in this case, TangJie has just fallen back, which I think is very reasonable, and he's said, "Hey, you played your move on the second line, uh, more fool you, and uh, what are you gonna do next?" Basically, it's hard for black to show that exchange can be good. Even if he plays on the outside now, there's still plenty of ways for white to use it from the outside here and from here, and maybe even from the inside later if things get spicy. So TangJie won't play so that he can do something spicy later.
Man, I feel like maybe it's one of those moves we were kind of talking about yesterday. Sometimes he spent quite a long time on that move, and it's a weird move, right? And it's almost one of those moves you like convince yourself to play because you're like, this is the
Yes.
move of my hearts, and I know it's weird, but I think it's the best, so I'll play the move of truth. But sometimes those moves are not the moves that you think they are. So I guess we'll see though.
He definitely saw it, thought it was cool, started reading, saw no way that he collapsed, and played. I think that's the thought process that happened. But it's so. I mean, um, just because you don't collapse doesn't mean you're putting pressure on, and just because you do something cool also doesn't mean you're doing putting pressure on. It's so loose on white to make a move at B12. Like, if white would play anything locally, it would just be to make you collapse, and if they don't make you collapse, then they just don't have to play, and then there's no way that that move is putting the most pressure on of any choice. I think maybe he thought when he was thinking here, maybe he thought when he does this that he's gonna locally die. It's possible he didn't realize that this move is really helping him get a lot of power towards the corner. If he didn't see that after this white group is gonna potentially die, then he might have thought that his black group was in a lot more trouble than it really was, and then not wanted to save inside. Even if you don't want to save inside, I can't support playing there. It's too much. That's just too crazy for me. I mean, after this, TangJie has just used his resource from the outside first. Yeah.
So one key thing perhaps here, or maybe it's not that key. Well, if he had covered the cut, obviously those three stones would be alive. Is it painful to lose the E6 stones potentially?
Um, Yes, it definitely is painful to lose those because these white stones are now just like so alive. It's perfectly alive. That means that whatever white does on the bottom later, it's attacking these two stones. before, if you like attack those two and they run to the center, if you saved those, running to the center would reattack this white. But now there's like nothing there but white's perfect thickness. Um, that
Ah.
means that it's actually becoming pretty big to play some random move on the bottom. TangJie chose to start with the random move in the upper right instead. This move is also quite big because it's difficult to save those stones at A, especially when white has a little bit of extra power. So usually we would sort of consider those to be half dead at the moment, and I expect, well, okay, Eric Yoder would never consider himself to be half dead. He will try to save, but when you save like this, it gives Wei even more power in the center, and the top side is just not that big either.
So yeah, I guess potentially with White's major influence towards the center, perhaps Eric, if he's falling behind in this game, it seems like we'll have to maybe find some miraculous way to live in the center as like a comeback condition, maybe. Or I'm just trying to maybe foresee into the future, right?
Mm.
If Eric were falling behind, like maybe he can live in the center is an option.
I think Eric's comeback condition is more just some random crazy thing happens, and there's Tesuji that nobody understands. The- this like there will be weak groups throughout the rest of the game. I'm sure of it, and it shouldn't be that hard for some way something to happen. TangJie played a bamboo here, which I believe is preparing to play a Hane on the top side. So he's thinking that if he bamboos and black just answers this way, then he wants to Hane and really try to capture those stones on the top. And he thinks this bamboo will help him with that black would have less pressure to run through the center. But yeah, as Eric shows, black can answer in the corner like this. It's actually a really nice territory gain to be able to Hane at T18 later. It can even put pressure on the whole white group's life and death. So I feel that although white Hanes now, it's even if these 4 stones die, we've already like paid a lot, and it was probably the better order to play the Hane first, and then if you needed to play the bamboo, excuse me, if you needed to play the bamboo later, so not to lose the territory unless you need it. But Tangji prepared for the fight, and then I expect him to play the fight now. Yeah, there's the Hane.
Hmm.
It's tough for black to break out. Maybe um, there might be a cutting move, and if we're hopeful, there might be a wedging move as well. Something like that are the ways to break out aggressively. The point of the Hane is that if you just answer passively on the top side, your space is much reduced. So before, what I would have done if I were white is to play just this one. This is the passive way, and I'm just saying, hey, white is forcing black to live on the top side, so you can go ahead and run however you like. I don't know exactly how far black has to run to not have like liberty problems, not have serious liberty problems. But let's say it's like this, then I'm satisfied already with this exchange. Or white gets some outside and black gets that. TangJie was not satisfied. He wants more. So he's doing this and saying, hey, I can capture this much. Then usually you have to pay a bit on the outside to do that sort of thing. Oh wow, Eric just accepts though. It's a bit surprising to me to see just a fat accept.
Yeah, because maybe Eric has a lot of potential on the left side, right? So he could just try to build a wall ish, like
Well,
B17.
with the bamboo, it's difficult to show. Like what Wei was going to do is resist all the time, whether if you would try to save those. So, for example, this is probably a variation that they read out. In this variation, the bamboo is perfect. You need that stone at A exactly now, and there wouldn't have been a time to tenuki. So, like you would have to tenuki directly after the cut if it would go like this. Hane, if cut, then instantly here. And maybe TangJie thought this trading was not good enough. I still like this trading by the way, but um yeah. I can see why they're both thinking that if they play like this, white is not only capturing those stones but even gaining on the side, and black
Ah,
wouldn't be able to do anything.
so yeah,
Um,
there's no way for Black to sacrifice the 4 stones to try to gain some influence to the left. Is
That's what they're thinking when they play like this. But it's so painful to live in this kind of fashion. Of course, black can live. This shape will be alive. Even when he blocks here, he poses a problem. Later, he can play at T18 and N18 and try to kill this white group. So white decides to play the defensive move like this. That black group on the top side, if yeah, black is going to spend Hane threatening to live. If white could play here, so before this, say black completely ignores, and let's say white becomes just a little bit more thick here. If white plays here, this black group is now dead. If black blocks this way, white can play here and do this. And if black exchanges one time the push, it wouldn't do anything. It's still going to be Hane and dead. But you can see that white does need this extra exchange over here. So this group was still like a little weak on the top side. That's why Eric Yoder was planning to spend another move. He thought he can just exchange this first and then answer on this side. So he's trying to get the maximum territory, I think. But TangJie suddenly did not care about those two stones and tried to capture on the right side instead. Eric is trying to save underneath like this. So if Eric would cut, I think it's like this. There's a ko technically, but if TangJie saves his group by capturing those stones, it means that this group loses its base entirely. It would be better for white. So Eric will try to play this exchange. If white answers one time first, then like this, those stones are sealed in. If white tries to save his stones like that, and then play here, I think it might be a trade at this point. Not entirely sure. In the game TangJie played this one, which is very strange because black can just block. Why can't you play here? Oh, there's this move, but then there's here. Why is it? I don't know what I'm missing. It looks like this move is good for white.
Because the capture just straight up threatens the capture the 3 stones.
Yeah. After this, white is not alive in the corner. So if you chase all the way like this, if black chases like that and then tries to do this one, white couldn't live locally, so the fighting is a little complicated. But I still feel like white should be satisfied with this kind of variation, breaking through like that. Instead, white just played here, let black block, and white captured, thinking that this capture could come in Sente, kind of Sente on these, and then save in Sente, and then get to Tenuki. But of course, for now, black would not answer there. That's only 3 stones and the attack on the outside, since the corner is already alive. So there's no reason to care about that just now. And black's move here is an interesting one. How is this the biggest move on the board? What is he doing?
I guess my first thought is he's just trying to attack
Yeah, of course he's trying to attack. He's thinking like that can be weak, that can be weak, but they can't really. Not really, right? Because there's so many stones
the
here.
4
This,
stones
first of
can
all,
sort
this
of
black
jump
is
into the
already like
corner.
safe,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, if I'm playing, I'm gonna play like maybe the Shusaku way, the old Edo period way, like this. I like that move. Yeah, this one actually TangJie just answered, um, which I think he's only answering here because he thinks you don't need to answer to save that group, but I think he's answering there because he thinks after that there's a peep and then an attack on the Blackstones, and if he doesn't cut, then the peep it doesn't have a very big liberty threat. I think that's why he's done this. And so black has answered on this side. So to fix the peep and to fix this group's general power. Wow. They think about the game completely differently from me. Even white played another move here. To me, that's just completely useless. White should spend any old move in this area. Maybe the dragon enclosure. It's fun. If black attacks that group, so what? You can still run it. Like there's so many directions. There's no way that group would ever die. But TangJie spent a full move on its strength, even right next to the place where he just made incredibly super strong. It seems over concentrated to me, but okay. And then, wow, Eric, thinking like me, plays the Shusaku approach to the 5-3. This happened all the time in the 1800s, but not very often since then.
Page suggesting, I'm just taking a look now. Yeah, Eric is under a minute. So he's at like 45 seconds. With 10-second Fisher increment is so yeah, and TangJie Has 6 minutes. So yeah, Eric is under a bit of time pressure here, which is not good for him.
Mm, yes, he doesn't tend to like time pressure very much, and Black is not in a very easy position for the rest of the game either. The white shapes are generally pretty strong here. They look quite thick, and Black still has some worries. These 2 stones in the center, the 3 stones in the bottom right. It's still going to be a complicated game, for sure. And 10 seconds per move is not what you want in a complicated game. He plays this kick, which I don't remember from my Shusaku games, but maybe it's an okay move. Hmm.
Hmm.
Wow, TangJie just Hana is. It seems like it's way too much. I was already thinking whether I could do more than kick because I was upset that Wei could just defend. But then Hana is just leaving the weaknesses. I could cut either way. I think both of them are fine.
Maybe does he Hane with his 3 stones sort of inside the black stones in mines? I don't.
You're talking about like this?
Or sorry, so there's also stones like J5,
Ah,
J4, M. Yeah, so it seems like he gave the extra move at M5, obviously
yes.
trying to, strengthen those stones, especially like at some moment you can try to capture the 2 stones sort of inside his moyo a little bit, but also it's black sort of surrounding those stones as it is. So I'm just thinking the Hane, I don't know. I agree. The Hane seems a bit strange. I don't know if there's some sort of communication between those stones.
I think you're probably onto something about what Jay was thinking. This M5, what it should have been is just a reducing move with a threat, right? But black can play here and seal off those 2 stones, and you just have to accept that. You're just like, okay, that you answered my threat. But it does seem like when he plays Q6 that instead TangJie was thinking more like I'm attacking these, which is just not true. I mean, black shows it here, and I think TangJie takes some time to think because he realizes it's not as good as he'd like it to be here. There's no way to defend the outside. Black can play on the inside. Even if there's some ko there, that's never a good ko to play that early, and White losing the corner is huge.
Yeah, it seems like he's losing the corner without much compensation, right? Or at least what he was maybe hoping for in compensation.
Yeah, that's definitely what would happen if he plays inside. So instead he must play or outside, I mean. So instead he must play inside like this, and then black gets the free move at R6, and you can see this is why Q6 is too much. Already black cut it off in Sente, can still put more pressure on that corner later, but Eric chooses to start by putting pressure on the bottom stones, and so he's threatening to say, hey, the whole bottom side is going to be mine if you do anything over there.
Yeah, I agree with Paige. This is certainly getting interesting. I mean, I was even thinking throughout the game, like who the 2 stones at J6 and yeah, JK6 and J6, like who is it in the moyo or is it not? Is black capturing whites? It seems hard for white now, right?
It's definitely hard for White. White is going to think about running out however he can, but mm, Black can play. I mean, it's a little complicated. I think this kind of move might be what ends up being played. Let's say eventually um, some trading like this happens and White gets. Black gets very strong and has surrounded this corner. What do you think is the best corner move
Best corner move for it looks like for
for Black?
white for
Like
black.
we're gonna try to attack this corner still. It may not be completely alive, or maybe we can do some good endgame.
I mean, I would either play just the Hane at Q1 or the Hane at T5.
Those are boring. I want to do something strong.
Okay, well then I'll play R2
Yeah, maybe.
or S2 if I'm getting a little crazy.
I think S2 it looks pretty powerful. If so, let's have Black try to do something here. If we just do something like this, and I called it boring. Um, I think that white will be able to make a life pretty easily. I mean, I don't know exactly how, but S2 will be good. Um, oh, wait, we have the game. Maybe I should talk about that later. It's just something interesting for me because I don't know exactly. White tried to cut right away, and black did this one. Because black can play this move in Sente to capture those. So black was planning on, I think, black was planning on playing this variation. And this would actually be really difficult for white to continue. So white couldn't save that one stone, instead plays here, and black plays just to connect to keep the most pressure on the outside. It's starting to become possible for white to think about saving over there and keeping a lot of pressure on black's stones inside. So we're not going to see anything fun happen in the corner anytime soon.
Hmm.
I'll have to keep thinking about that though. Solve the Sumega.
So I guess we were saying the Q6 stone earlier was a bad exchange for white, but at this moment is maybe the Aji starting to. There's something there, I guess.
Well, don't get me wrong. The fact that white played Q6 meant he had to play like S4, S5, all these completely useless moves for the fight. But at this point, still, like, even though his fight is worse, it may still be playable. He's gonna have to try to figure out the best way to handle this white group. He chooses to push first, which is probably pretty reasonable.
Hmm. Can black just cut? I guess.
That's definitely something to think about. Just cutting. Mm, it looks like he can. I don't know exactly what Jay's plan was gonna be. Hmm. Maybe it was a full sacrifice idea. I'm not sure. I'm thinking. So Jay could try to counterattack these, but it seems a little hard to put any meaningful pressure on them. So maybe instead the plan was something more like um, this, and just sacrifice the bottom side to take some power on the right and hope to attack the black upper right. May have been something like that. Anyway, black Haned first. So I think they're thinking if white can play here, then they can put a lot of pressure on those outside black stones. I don't really agree though. I think that if black manages to pressure the bottom very hard, a lot of Aji against the black stones here and the black stones there like naturally disappears, and it wouldn't be possible to really attack that if black gained this much power over here. So they dominate in that area, and you can see, yeah, Eric has completely taken the center like this. He's 100% devoted to the center, and that gave Jay the chance to fix the cut somehow.
Huh.
We've done something more aggro even. I think maybe white. No, it's probably too aggro. Yeah. I think this move is fine by white. Eric plays directly block here. Okay, now we have to really understand what they're gonna do in the corner later. Let's see.
Wow, this is kind of interesting. I feel like, whites had quite a bit of influence going towards the center. Now it seems like black has plopped a group there. So I guess at this point, I don't know who has more territory, but maybe it feels like maybe I don't even know the AI evaluation, but it feels like the game may be kind of close, or at least could swing either way.
The fight is definitely gonna decide. Whoever is like killing or winning here is the best. Um, but white has broken the bottom side for black, so that means that black is expected to get a lot from this fight from now on. From here, I was thinking about the corner shape. If you play this move, this is my natural instinct, by the way, is I want to play here first. Then if white plays here, I can play this move and save it, and the white shape is locally dead. There is some chance that white can counterattack here, but I think that black would be fine in the overall fighting. It's pretty close though. Um, the other ways that white can do this, white can try to play this move first, Then let's see, how exactly am I supposed to organize it? I think I'm supposed to play here first, but I don't have the extra benefit there that I do in Sumego. So maybe I have to exchange this and then play here. It's gonna be some kind of ko if I play like that. I don't know if I can avoid a ko. There's gonna be something strange happening in this corner. Is the point? That's what they're thinking about too. That's why Jay spent an entire move in here. I don't think it was necessary though. I think we should have invited it, done this, and done something crazy. Anyway, on the outside, Black gets the free move now. Since this happened, he played it here. So he's sort of saying to White, why don't you ever Atari me here, force me into the bad shape? And I agree. I think White could also have done that first. But Black sort of punishes like this. And then White can connect here. Black wants to say that those stones are saved by the outside stone. It's a tough sell, because he also has to save his stones on the bottom now. He must run them out. He must save them on the bottom. If White can just manage to save his group inside, it's enough. And Black has plenty of weaknesses, so White can aim at doing stuff like that. But it's kind of hard.
So
I need to go back to Sumego school. Did I not see the Sumego?
yeah, I find it interesting that you say that. Well, wow, okay. It looks like maybe it's going to be a little hard for White to live here, but I guess you're implying that White just has more points around the board than Black if White just needs to live.
Well, what happened in this fighting was that White busted some of the Black points, right?
Yeah.
So whenever that happens, you are supposed to expect to gain in the fighting control.
Yeah, I guess the only compensation I'm seeing maybe is that Eric reduced a lot of the potential in the center for Jay, but maybe there was just not as much potential in the center to begin with, or he just lost too much of his edge territory.
Yeah. Wait, Wait is starting to look more dangerous. What happened here? He played the move there. It doesn't gain any eyes, and what it threatened is to do this stuff, but for some reason he's not playing it. Why is he not playing it right now?
It appears Eric lost on time, I think.
What? But it's TangJie's turn.
Or TangJie lost on time. I'm not sure. It says Black wins by timeout.
No, just when the game is getting interesting.
Black.
No.
It says the end state of the game is Black was winning by 2 points, and Black wins by timeout. So apparently the game was just completely even about.
Oh my goodness. It was about to be so spicy. I couldn't wait. Run
That is
at
so
the end.
sad.
I think White was thinking after run, then Black can gain liberties and then chase here, and then it wins by 1 liberty. I guess this is it. But then there's still some outside stuff, so White has some chances to play like double Hane. It's a net. It doesn't work. What did I misread?
Man, that's so sad.
4 is wrong. Here, not 4. You want me to play this one? What do I play? Do I play here? Oh my. What a game. Yeah, I want to look at this more with an AI on my side so I can understand it better. We will go on to the grand finals. Unfortunate that Jay has lost on time. Very unfortunate.
Yeah, I guess that leaves us. Yeah, Eric will be in the final against Paige. TangJie, another great run. He won last time, but I guess this time falling just short of the final. But I guess we can. TangJie's been eliminated, but he had a great run. So good job, Jay.